discover the magic of audio-reactive particles. In this tutorial, we will compare xpSound and xpSoundDisplacement. Let's dive in and start this adventure together. Before we jump to Cinema 4D, let's talk about some important parameters that will help you to easier create your audio visualization using xpSound and xpSoundDisplacement. First of all, why we should learn xpSound and xpSoundDisplacement techniques. The number one, the most easy one, is creating audio visualizations. With xpSound, you can synchronize the particle animations with audio and create great audio visualizations. And also dynamic effect. You can dynamically control particles such as color, speed, and emission based on your audio. In xParticle modifier, we have xpSound, and here are important parameters that is good to know before we jump to Cinema 4D. The number one is map sound parameters. The map sound parameters, we can control color, speed, and emission. With the color, we can create dynamic color transition based on the audio, and speed also we can control the movement of particles based on the audio, and emission we can control the intensity of particle. dB range and frequency is good to know the difference and understand the dB range and frequency. dB range is used to measure intensity of the volume of the sound. You can remember as the intensity, and the frequency the number of sound waves produced per second. The number three is understanding fluid types. In xParticle we have two different types of particle, granular and liquid. The granular types are like particles like sand and grain. They collide and interact with each other. But liquids are fluids such as water and oil. Here in fluid data in xParticle we can easily select between the granular and the liquid type. And finally, dynamics and modifiers. We can add dynamics such as xpFlow flip or xpConstraint, or use modifiers such as xpScale or xpTurbulence. Before we jump to Cinema 4D and using xParticle, we can use Soundkey plugin in After Effects and will help us visualize our waveform of our sound or music. For example, if you select our sound here and two times click on L, you can see the waveform here. But to better visualize it, we can use the Soundkey plugin. For this, first we will create a new adjustment layer, and here in Effect and Preset we will write Soundkey, and the Soundkey we drag it on our adjustment layer and automatically created a graph here, but nothing happened if we play because we need an audio layer here. Select our sound here. And as soon as we select our sound, we can easily see and visualize the sound graph. And in sound keys, we can here select the range, and in the range corner, we can select the part of the music or the sound that we wanted to interact with our object. For example, let's say we wanted this green part, select, because creating for us one peak of the music, and also we want to have the second range, and we can also activate the second range and select the orange bar of the sound. Now we have here two peaks of the music which can interact with our object. So here we just need, with the commands and apply, turn the sound to the keyframes. Easily here we will click apply. And if we select our adjustment layer and U on keyframe, we see here that we have output 1 and output 2, and both of them are now keyframe. We created a new solid here, for example number 1, and here with the keyframe S, scale, hold Alt and click, and we select the output 1 here. And now all of the keyframes here will be applied on a scale. And if we play, we see the object is scaled based on the output 1. And let's now create a new solid, and we call it number 2, and let's change the color to the red, and again click on S and hold Alt click and drag and we select output 2. We have now two solid, 1 and 2, and they will interact with the 2 range of the music. And let's see now. Now let's jump to Snow 4D and see what we can do there using with the xParticle. In Snow 4D we just select Insydium, xParticle and xpSystem, and if we select our xpEmitter object, here emitter shape, the default is rectangle, and we can change it to a circle. And if we play, all particles are created at the center. We just want to be at the edge of it, and we activate the rig only. And we want it also be all the outside direction. So for this cone angle, we just select a 90 degree. Now they are all particles just moving outside the ring. To better visualize, let's create a sphere. For example, we make it 40 and 50 segment, and now we have around our sphere and creating the particles. We select xpEmitter and also emission. Here you can play with the number of the particles. We can keep it on 1000 for now, but the speed we just 0, because we won't have control on the speed of particles using xpSound and music. Now we select modifiers, and in control modifier here we will select xpSound. In xpSound object, here we have the sound that you can here add your music. Let's click on it. As soon as you add the sound here, you can see the preview in the graph. You can change the color of the graph, but this is only for preview. This has nothing to do with the particles, only help you to visualize the music. And if you play here, you see nothing is happening. And unfortunately, we cannot hear the music in timeline, but we have a solution. For this, we just select the window and timeline. We just drag the xpSound here. And if we select the xpSound, we just create here, add special track sound. And we have now one xpSound, we have sound here, and the second is on our timeline. We just select here and we again click here and upload our sound. And we have now the same sound that we have here in our timeline and exactly on xpSound that we can, when we are playing here, we can hear the music. And the timeline we will put for 300 frames that we can play the music longer. And if you want to deactivate the music on timeline, you can click here, and if you play, you will not hear any music, but still will affect your particles. Now the most important part is in xpSound map sound. Here you can add the color, speed and emission. Let's add only the color. Here, if you add, you can see the color, frequency, minimum, maximum, and dB range, and also the mode. Here are peak and peak frequency. When we play, now we must see some changes. Some small changes are happening on the color, and also we can see the preview of the music, but we don't have any speed. So we can again add here, and this time, instead of color, we will select here just speed. And now let's play again. Now we have particles playing based on the speed. Let's back now to the color and a little bit play with the frequency. For example, we can put to the maximum or minimum. Let's add it to the maximum and see if some changes is happening. And the dB range, you can bring it, for example, a little bit down to 30 or to 25, and you see the color distribution is changing, but still some colors like green we cannot see here. For this, to see the whole range of colors, we just need to right click and add knots here. Let's add more of it, and you see now we can see in a preview more colors. And the colors are changing based on the music. But the dB range, if you put it, for example, higher, you will see that we have the less changing in color. And if we go to the dB range, for example, to the less, and we see the more change happening in the colors here. And also the mode you can play with it. Let's just select the peak of the amplitude. Now select, and or you can choose the peak of frequency. Let's stay with the combine, and we can have the better preview of the colors. And also let's dB range create and keep it on 30. Depends on the music and the power of the sound. The parameters bring a different results. For our music, look like the 30 now is okay. Now let's go to the speed. For the speed also we can play the same with the range and the frequency and the mux. The mux here, if you make it for example 200, will add to speed of the particles. Let's stay for example 150. And the dB range also we can make it for example 35. And also will create a different results and different visualization. Let's activate the sound and see how it look like. Let's make it a little bit more, 400. Now we need to add the last option. If we add here, we had already color, we had already speed. Now we will add emission. Here we must be a little bit careful because the higher number of particles will be created here and make your system very slow. So let's make the max for example 50. We do not want to have a lot of particles, and let's play again. Now you see beautifully created for us the number of particles based on the music, and emission here created and make it visually more powerful based on the music. Also you can, with the emission, you can play with the dB range here or the frequency max. For example, let's make it 30 and let's play again, and you can play and experiment with all of these three options, with the color, with the speed, and also with the emission. The color also you can load a new colors that you can see here and play with the different colors or your own color. And let's play. So we easily created with few clicks our audio visuals using XpSound. Now we want to see an experiment. If we keep all of the parameters here we have for the old music and add only the new sound, what will happen? Do we need to change parameters or no? We don't need to change anything. So let's experiment and see what's gonna happen. If I select XpSound here and on object, here sound, I will select a new sound. To play on the timeline, we need to add the same music on the timeline. For this, we select Windows and Timeline. And we already have here our sound here, and if we click here Properties Sound, we just click here and upload the same sound that we use for XpSound. And let's play and see what will happen. There's nothing same like before. We cannot see the particles and it's not really interacting with our new music. So for this, if we select XpSound and map sound parameters, we need again work with the parameters and change few parameters here. Let's start with the speed and also color. Let's change the dB range, make it for example 65, and see what will happen. Now we can see the music here, the preview. And also speed, we will add the dB range, for example again 70, and also we can see in preview here something is happening. And now let's play again. The last thing we need to play with is the emission. The dB range is 30. Let's put it again 65, and now we can see it's beautifully interacting with our new music. So for every music need its own parameters to play with and adjust correctly. You just need to experiment with every music that you have. Let's, for example, here load a new color and let's play again. We have a new colors. Let's add, for example, speed, make it 300, 2 times faster, and see, now look like more interacting and better with our music. And now let's play and see. Just activate the sound. It's working perfectly with our music. And let's hear, for example, we change the emitter plane from Z to Y and change the from top direction, more perspective. And let's play again. So we created only just uploading new sound and playing with the here XpSound map sound parameters, just easily changing the dB range and speed and changing the color. You have a new audio visualizations. And now we have our basic interaction with the music, but here in XP system we have Nexus, Dynamics and Modifiers that we can add to our audio visual and make it more interesting. For example, XP Dynamic, you can play with XP Flow Field, Fluid Flip, XP Fluid FX, and also with Nexus you can add constraint, fluids or NX push, and also modifiers. Here we have motion modifiers that we can all of this try, push apart for example, or here xpTurbulence, and see what kind of changes will bring. Let's test with xpTurbulence now, and if we select xpTurbulence here, we keep it everything as it is, and now let's play. And it created some waveform on our audio visual. Let's change the noise type from standard, for example, to wavy turbulence and create another beautiful results. And you can have control on it by, if you select xpTurbulence on mapping, you can here add the mapping and the parameter. You can, for example, the strength and the age. For example, we have here 400 frames. You can add the maximum range, for example, 300 frames. And you can control the power of the xpTurbulence based on the range of the frame that we have, and can also give you control over the xpTurbulence on our audio visual and create very beautiful motion graphics audio visualization. You can play with the noise type, with the strength and with the scale, and also create your own audio visual based on your project. And now we can add dynamics. For example, here in XP Dynamics, you can choose from all of the options that you have here. Let's start with the XP constraint, and here in XP constraint you can connect at burst activate. And now let's play. You see we have a kind of connection between particles, and this can be great for simulations. You can also activate connect within the distance, and now let's play again. Will give you a different results. Let's deactivate and add another dynamic like XP Fluid Flip, and let's click here and create it for us this box, that within this box will be happen like fluid simulations. And here now we back to the beginning of our tutorial. If we simulate here, and in a fluid flip here we have the type, 2 different types here, particles here reacting like a fluid. If we select XP emitter here in extended data, we have fluid data, and in fluid data we have here fluid type. The default is on liquid, but you can change it to granular, and we'll create different type of simulations like sandy or based on your projects, not only the simulating like the watery. So this can also be a very beautiful audio visualization for your projects, just playing with the fluid types here and add in dynamics like xpFluid flip here. Or you can deactivate it and back again to our basic. And here in Nexus, we can try to see how will be if we select nxFluid. And now let's play again, create an explosion for us. And here in the solver, we can select, instead of PBD, SPH. And if we select here, we have the fluid types also. You can select liquid or granular. Let's select the granular, and like sand or kind of particles that they are interactive, and make a new simulation for us. Let's play again. So here we have a kind of explosion because we have internal pressure. Let's make it 0. And now let's play and see what kind of result we'll have. You see we have a little bit different and very smooth particles, and create a different and beautiful audio visualization. Now let's play with the sound and see how it looks like. Very beautiful, just adding dynamics, modifiers, and also playing with the type of the particle in XP emitter, fluid type granular instead of liquid. And also here in xpFluid we will select the granular type because we wanted to have another simulation instead of a fluid simulation or liquid. They will create for you more accurate simulations. We will create a new xParticle system, XP system, and we will use another sound modifier. Before we jump to the modifiers, let's make some changes in our XP emitter. In object, emitter shape, let's select the circle, and also ring only, emitter plane, Y plus, and also cone angle 90. Let's play. And emission bitrate, we make it, for example, only 50 particles, and the speed we keep, radius, let's make it 5, and displace editor we change to the sphere. We'll have better visualize here, and color we just select the gradient random. Now we have our particles emitting, and in modifier we start with control modifier and was xpSound, but now we will use motion modifier. In motion modifier, we have sound displacement. Here we have fewer options compared to xpSound. Here we have the sound that we can upload here, like xpSound modifier, and also here options to active and deactivate the sound in timeline. Here you can also deactivate that we don't need to loop the sound. Here we have use samples, and we have 4 options to play with. Invert the position, scale down. The greater the number, the lower will be the displacement of the particles, and the lower the number, the higher will be the displace of the particles. And here we have displacement axis X, Y, and Z, and which axis we want to keep the particles move. Let's keep it on Y, and here sound file, just upload from here. Click and select the sound. And as soon as we select the sound, we just can play and see what's happened here. You see some changes is happening in position of the particles, but it's not very clear what is happening. And for this, we can add generator, just xpTrail, and drag our emitter here. Now let's play again. So here we can better see particles are moving with the sound and the music. Let's here add more frames, 300. So here the particle positions are moving, but you can see they are widely dispositioned. So if we select here, we have a scale down, and the default number is 500. We can add to it, for example, 2000, because we don't want to so high disposition of the particle. And now let's play again. Now much better. Now you can see the particles really scale down, and based on the music that we have here and the sound effect, they are changing the positions. To hear the sound in our timeline, just need to hear play sound during animation and activate it. And now let's play and see. Now let's select from here another music and see how particles will be react. Created very beautiful wave form of the particles with the trail on it, and particles changing the position based on the music. We can also play with the samples. Instead of absolute, we can choose as sample and see how will change the position and what will be. It will create another kind of positioning so wild. And let's back again to the value, the absolute value, and play again. It's more in control. And you can scale down still if you add, for example, 4000, and now you see the will be lower the positioning of the particles. And displacement axis, we can change it from Y to X. If we select X, the displaced position will be at the X direction, or if we select the Z, will be at the Z direction. Let's back to the Y, which work better. And as you can see, is a difference between the xpSoundDisplacement and the xpSound. And we have here less control over the sound and particles. We can also add another motion modifier like our xpTurbulence and play. Let's make it, for example, wavy turbulence, and see how it will look like. You can play with it and experiment your own music. Now let's try use the xpDisplacement with two emitter. Here in Insydium we create the xp system. xp emitter, we call it number 1, and we hold Alt and drag, we call it number 2. The number 1 we can hear in the object, we change it to a circle, and the number 2 we change it to a torus. And the direction of the second particle emitter, we will change it to exactly the same first one. Let's change the color here in this place, and here we change it to the red, and also the particle color, let's for now just for preview change to the red. And the number 1 we can do the object size disk, we can make it a little bit smaller, for example 25. Now we have both of them together, and if we play, they are emitting. Let's the number 1 emission, we just make it 0, and the number 2 also, we do not need any speed for now. And the important thing is now here, the emission of the particles, we don't need to keep it rate. Both of them will change it to the shot. And also in a shot, the shot type, we will change it from random to hexagonal. And for the second one also, the shot type will change from random to hexagonal. We wanted now to experiment and see with the xpSoundDisplacement how the particle will be react when the shot type is hexagonal. Hexagonal types are more fluid types. In modifier, we will select our xpSoundDisplacement, and here we will import a sound. Just click here. We imported our sound here, and here play sound during animation. We just deactive for now, look with the active, and if we play, some movement is happening because the direction of displacement axis is Y, they are moving to the top. So let's make it to the Z, and will be our camera position, and they are returning to the 0 when they are moving. So let's deactivate this, we don't need their return. Now we have everything, but nothing special is happening. So to make it more interesting, we can add some dynamic to it. Here in dynamics, we will select XP flow flip. But one last thing we must change in our emitter. Here when we select emitter and extended data or fluid type, we will change it from liquid to granular. And here also, again, extended fluid data from liquid, we will change to granular. We want it to be a kind of grainy and sandy look of the particles, not liquid. So these are the most important things that we did. In XP Fluid Flip, here we have this blue box here, and everything will be happen here. You can change the size of the blue box, but we will keep it as a default. And now let's play and see what changes is happening. You see particles are interactive with the music and create more beautiful visual audio interaction. If you want to add to your particles here, you just simply select your particle emission and the radius, you make it smaller. And also for the number 2, we make it 2. And now let's play, and you will see we have now the more number of particles and we can better visually see how they interact. And in xpSoundDisplacement here, we can easily change the direction of the particles. For example, now they are on Z direction. You can easily change it to the X and they are moving to the sides. Or you can change it to the Y and they will move to the top. Now let's activate the sound and see how it look like. It's not playing real time. If you want to see the real time motion, you can easily click here and make a preview and just make it okay. And here you can play it and see how particles are reacting in real time. You can play with it, you can experiment with different music and see how particles are reacting when we have the fluid type as a granular, and also when we have emission type or hexagonal. You see the particles reacting with the sound different and create more beautiful motion graphics. So if we change the sound, you can see we have different type of the reaction of the particles. And we can also play with the direction of the displacement axis. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting tutorials. Happy learning!